Okay, it's Mike again. Old Religion Dystopia. I'm going to do some more reading out of Adventures Beyond the Body. How to Experience Out of Body Travel by William Buhlman. Continuum of Consciousness. The non-mathematician is seized by the mysterious shuddering when he hears of four-dimensional things, by a feeling not unlike that awakened by thoughts of the occult, and yet there is no more commonplace statement than that the world in which we live is a four-dimensional continuum. Albert Einstein. Consciousness is a continuum extending from physical wakefulness through progressive states of awareness into non-physical awareness of the universe existing far beyond our current scientific vision. This continuum of consciousness is as large and diverse as the universe itself. Each time we fall to sleep, we are shifting our awareness inwardly within the continuum. Each dream, meditation, and hypnosis session is a particular glimpse into our personal continuum of consciousness. Our recognition of this is a major step forward in our evolution. It's only natural that first we must explore the different states of consciousness experienced during sleep, meditation, and lucid dreams before we can begin to recognize that these states of awareness are linked by a common flow of consciousness. All states of awareness are connected. Even death is the movement of consciousness from one area of the continuum to another. The continuum of consciousness is not just another theory, but a fact that each of us can observe and verify for ourselves. Controlled out-of-body experiences give us the unique opportunity to explore the continuum of energy firsthand. In a sense, our awareness is like a light that has the natural ability to illuminate any portion of the universe. Wherever we focus our light, that area of the universe in the physical body or out becomes conscious and real to us. All movement of consciousness is inward within the non-physical interior of the universe. The states of awareness we currently perceive are only a tiny fraction of the whole. The continuum exceeds deep into non-physical areas of the universe far beyond our current physical comprehension. Continuum of consciousness. Modes of perception. Then it has a little graph here. It looks like 1 to 8 and beyond. It says here, physical wake consciousness is number 1. Hypnagogic state. Okay, I know it's saying it right. Hypnagogic state. The hypnagogic state, meditative states, creative visualization, hypnotic states, numerous altered states of consciousness is number 2. 3 is dreams. 4 is lucid dreams. 5 is spontaneous out-of-body experiences. 6 is near-death experiences. 7 is controlled out-of-body exploration within various non-physical dimensions of the universe. 8 continues within the non-physical dimensions of the universe into infinity. The state of consciousness illustrated above, which is what I just read, are not the continuum itself, but our modes and methods of perceiving this continuum of consciousness. The various states of consciousness, such as meditative, hypnagogic, I don't even say if I'm saying it right, hypnagogic, hypnagogic, or hypnotic, and hypnotic, obviously overlap and exist differently from different people. For different people. Meditative states, for example, can extend over the entire spectrum of the consciousness continuum, but most people experience only a peaceful state of relaxation occurring in the light alpha range. The vast majority of those who practice meditation are not highly trained yogic masters who can control and extend their awareness at will. It is important to recognize that our individual states of consciousness exist as perceptions or segments of a whole. This recognition is the first major step in understanding the non-physical essence and function of the consciousness. Such an understanding is critically important because all the mysteries of our existence and the universe itself are related to consciousness. This will be confirmed in the near future when it is discovered that our individual consciousness is a microcosm of the universe itself. Dreams, out-of-body experiences, and near-death experiences are the recognition of our awareness as we move beyond the physical viewpoint and explore the non-physical continuum of consciousness. This concept of human consciousness moving through an unseen universe is gaining support. Physicist and author Fred Alan Wolf postulates that lucid dreams are actually visits to parallel universes. He has repeatedly stated that lucid dreams might be better called parallel universe awareness. The state of consciousness that we are currently aware of are, I contend, but a tiny fraction of the continuum that we will experience after we permanently shed our physical bodies. Each year, millions of near-death or out-of-body experiences provide convincing evidence that this is true. Observations obtained when out-of-body show that our Observations obtained when out of body show that our current concepts of consciousness and awareness are severely limited. Physical-based states of consciousness are relatively crude and encumbered when compared with non-physical states. Once we transcend our biological vehicles, we are free to experience the unlimited essence of our consciousness. This essence exists and extends far beyond our imagination. The continuum of consciousness extends inwardly to the very heart of the universe, which is very interesting to say that. It's like our own heart is that, if you think about it, what he's trying to say there, in a fancy way, right? The continuum of consciousness extends inwardly to the very heart of the universe, our own hearts. That's what I would argue. Unending levels and frequencies of non-physical life and realities exist just beyond the dense limits of our sight. Each of us has much to look forward to, incredible worlds of beauty and light, patiently waiting for us to explore, to experience this ourselves. We must simply extend our awareness beyond our physical body and explore our individual continuum of consciousness. Evolution of consciousness. Our current concept of evolution derives from the Darwinian theory that biological organisms adapt and change in response to the physical conditions around them. This theory, built entirely upon the observed changes of biological organisms, has remained the scientific basis of evolution for over 100 years. Millions of reported out-of-body experiences provide convincing evidence that our evolution is far more complex than the biological changes we observe around us. In fact, our out-of-body experiences point to an entire new vision of evolution, one that is more comprehensive than any previous theory in human history. On the basis of non-physical exploration, we can say that evolution is the progressive development of conscious energy, soul in brackets, through the use of temporary biological vehicles of expression. Biological birth and death are simply the entrance and exit of consciousness within this dense outer dimension of energy. The observed changes of the biological organisms are currently a secondary effect created by an unseen development of consciousness. Currently, evolutionists observe and record only the outer physical changes occurring around us, while the truly important changes remain unseen. Every day we encounter new situations that psychologically stretch and mold us. Every physical problem is a new opportunity to grow. Each hardship helps us to develop our inner qualities of courage, love, and compassion. Each new challenge is an opportunity to learn. In a sense, each of us use matter as a tool of transformation. Our biological bodies are temporary vehicles for expression and experience in this dense realm of matter. The very act of assuming physical form and being human is an integral element of our development. Each of us is currently experiencing the most effective system of growth ever devised. Evolution by direct personal experience, by the very act of being. It doesn't matter what we believe or don't believe, each of us will shed our temporary biological vehicle and continue to evolve. We are all active participants in a magnificent evolutionary system that extends far beyond the narrow limits of our physical vision. Birth and death themselves are essential elements of our progress. The entrance and exits of consciousness, so the entrance and exits of consciousness upon the molecular playing field of evolution, which is interesting. When we think about the portals and the black holes that we read about earlier, let's see if we can get back to there, where we have the where's the one? There's a good one here. So, the expanding multi-dimensional universe, the inner energy flow, right? The observed physical universe, the first energy membrane, the energy dimension, the first energy dimension, second energy membrane, second energy dimension, third energy dimension, and unexplored sources of energy. We look at this vortex, or this, which I drew, this visible physical universe. When we look at this space and with this energy tunnel observed during near-death experience, it's kind of like it's a mimicking, in a way. Let's see, with life, death, there's birth. Life is that tunnel, and the end of the tunnel is death, right? So what I guess I'm trying to get at is that the physical realm, or physical shell, is in a way a representation of what we go through in our lives, in our existence, right? So think of it that way. It's like life in its own way. When we look at this picture here as well, and I should draw one, but I'm too lazy. So anyways, you see right here, right? Or Jacob's ladder, or this tunnel of going into the light. Think of it, it's like multiple meanings here. They could represent death into a new dimension or a new life. Also, when you're born, and then there's like the tunnel of life. We, in a way, always have, no matter what we do, tunnel vision in our existence physically. When we go through our life, we try to, broaden that tunnel vision. But even the way we're designed, we don't have 360-degree vision. It's only when we leave, apparently, the physical vessel, the body, the meat suit, the avatar, that you eventually get that, receive again the 360-degree vision. While on the physical plane, we only have a very narrow spectrum. What is it, like zero? It's 0.0001 or 1 to 8% of anything that's around us. We never will see the back of our heads without a mirror. We'll never see the back of our necks or our back of our shoulders without a mirror. Assistance, artificial assistance, right? We can only see forward, always, in this physical realm, like we're looking in a specific tunnel. We live in a tunnel vision, like a black hole. Now, but many people have that negative. It sounds negative, right? The black hole, going through the black hole, it's towards destruction and all that. But it is, it's in that way. But it's a black hole, if you will, or a tunnel that has a bell curve, if you will. Because we're born and we go up to we hit our prime, and then we go back down, and then we die. We will only, no matter how much we educate ourselves, we will only see a very narrow spectrum of this reality in the physical realm. It's inevitable, no matter how hard we try. I mean, doesn't mean we don't give up in educating ourselves and broadening our vision, but it's more internally and symbolic, right? If that made any sense, great. If it didn't, we'll get on with it, because we'll go further. But there is a lot of, like, the YouTubers talk about parallel universes. There's our physical life parallels or mimics our spiritual dimensions. And there's beginnings and endings of all these different dimensions, right? But and it's good. I think that's what helps you to grow, right? But I don't know where we're going with all this, though. Do you? Except to understand our reality. Some people want to become gods, and some of us want to meet God, and some of us just want to understand life and make sense of it all. You know what I mean? It's a great journey where we're all at. It's based on perception. Anyways, it doesn't matter what we believe or do not believe, right? Each of us will shed our temporary biological vehicle and continue to evolve. Over the last 20 years, new insights concerning our spiritual existence have emerged. 2 decades ago, subjects such as near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, and parallel universes, multi-dimensions, and energy tunnels. That'd be a great way to say it right there. Energy tunnels. Our life is like an energy tunnel. Between universes were unknown to the vast majority of our species. Today, these topics are debated in households around the world. In a single generation, our concept of reality have dramatically changed. This shift will continue as people open their minds to a new vision of themselves and their existence. Throughout history, the evolution of the human consciousness has been molded by countless people worldwide. The following are a few examples of individuals who have influenced the group consciousness and evolution of our species in the last few decades. This process of human evolution will accelerate in the new millennium, which we're in now, obviously. For this was written, 30 years ago? Basically. In 1975, Dr. Raymond Moody's book, Life After Life, created an internal explosion of interest. International explosion of interest in the topic of life after death and possible non-physical realities. Moody's groundbreaking work on near-death and altered states of perception continues to influence millions of people around the world. Since 1975, the overwhelming acceptance of his many books has opened an entirely new field of study and research. Once again, the 1975 book from Dr. Raymond Moody's is Life After Life. So it's opened up an entirely new field of study and research. Moody's work has especially affected the medical community, setting the stage for hundreds of medical researchers, among them Dr. Melvin Morse, Brian Wise, to delve into many mysteries of non-physical experiences. To a great extent, his work has legitimized the entire sub-universe. The entire subject of non-physical research and the exploration of the unseen universe. Moody's work has helped to initiate a dramatic shift of thought, both conscious and unconscious. Kenneth Ring, Stuart Twemlow, Bruce Grayson, and other visionary physicians have assisted the evolution of man's consciousness by investigating the worldwide reports of out-of-body and near-death experiences. Their research and insights have helped legitimize the subject of non-physical experiences, thus setting the stage for innovative new explorations. Brian Weiss has been instrumental in the growing worldwide acceptance of past life regression therapy as a valuable healing tool. Increasingly, psychologists and psychiatrists are incorporating regressive techniques into their daily practices. Wise's work is a major step forward in the recognition of the relationship between non-physical states of consciousness and our current physical existence. In addition, his books point out to the importance of the potential of obtaining self-knowledge. John Stuart Bell, the Irish physicist, not physician, who developed the interconnectedness theorem, proved that all particles of matter are connected by an invisible, non-local force. His work has dramatically influenced the direction of modern physics. Many physicists believe that the interconnectedness theorem is one of the most important discoveries of the 20th century. Hugh Everett and Roy Kerr and Martin Kruskal, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I still don't. Kruskal, but we'll go with that. And other physicists and mathematicians have developed theories and conceptual maps that assume the existence of innumerable parallel universes as real as our own. The idea of parallel energy worlds has influenced quantum theorists and astrophysicists and astronomers worldwide. Filmmakers such as Steven Spielberg, watch out for that dude, through movies such as E.T. and Close Encounter of the Third Kind, reduce our fears of the unknown and open us to new possibilities existing beyond our physical perceptions. Gary Zhukov's clear insights into the relationship of physics and consciousness, and his search for the meaning and purpose of life have influenced millions. Shakti Gawain, I guess that's Gawain, I guess how, if I don't know how to pronounce it, it's Gawain. So Shakti Gawain, clear message of importance of creative visualization has affected millions of people around the world. Physicist and writer Albert Alan Wolf has presented and clarified the concepts of parallel universes and consciousness-created reality to both the scientific community and the general population. Dr. Wayne Dyer, which is, you better watch out for that dude. Seriously, I used to believe in that stuff, like what he was saying. This group of guys, 16 years ago, they got me in a lot of trouble. But I use a lot of discernment and judgment when listening to these guys. A lot of these guys, the reason why they're on mainstream media is because they're useful tools for manipulating us. I wouldn't trust anybody that spent too much time on PBS and all that. Because they're pushing official narratives of what they want us to follow. I'm not saying they're not going to be saying truth, but just beware of booksellers. There's nothing wrong with writing a book. And there's nothing wrong with selling a book. But you always got to remember that, it does become a snare for the book writer themselves if they're not willing to adapt, adjust, amend, recant when they go wrong, like the rest of us have to. And also, when you start fully just following a individualist that they got all the answers, now you're allowing yourself to become subjected to the guru, the cult of personality, and it's a great way to go down the wrong path. There's things that Wayne Dyer certainly shares that are true, but there are other things that I know for a fact that he just made up. So he has in fact, the group of guys he's going to talk right now all have everyone knows them, but most people don't really look into the characters or the personalities that they're following or listening, right? We don't. We're looking for information that's helpful for us when we, and you always hear, well, don't judge the messenger, judge the message. We have to judge the messenger at some point too. And I would not in any way ever tell you that I am the authority of anything. You know what I mean? And I definitely don't want to go to some conference because I know what happens in these conferences. You are going to be hamstringed on what to say and what to share. And I don't want to go down that road. Seen it, done it, don't want to be part of it. Dr. Wayne Dyer, Bernie Siegel, and Deepak Chopra, God, I can't say his name now. He said it like 1,000 times. I've heard 1,000. Maybe it's better, right? Chopra. And many others have shown us that thought and deed. Showed us through thought and deed how important the connection between the body and mind and spirit. Well, honestly, most of us realize that anyways. We get suckered into this stuff because, if we end up in our 20s, maybe younger, a little bit older, empty, dissatisfied because of the paths that we've been handed to. You understand your world. A great book to read is 1984. You'll understand exactly what you're in. Yeah, you're really going to. And also, the physical realm and all the materialism, which is these guys, they say they don't promote, but they are very, very materialistic, do lead to an emptiness, a dissatisfaction of life circumstances, that you're a failure. When the truth is, once you let go of a lot of this stuff when it comes to the materialism, the things of this world, we all need certain things in order to communicate and to live and to eat and prosper and procreate and all that. But these things that the world tells us are what defines a human being as a success are so fraudulent and lies. You yourself know inwardly if you just deal with yourself, which takes years to recover from the first 20 years of indoctrination in this world. It does. There's no one that's exempt from it. Your first 2 decades of your life are designed to cripple you, not to set you free. That's what the public school system is. That's what most religion is. That's what the mainstream media is. That's what most of the internet is. That's what most people who are, trying to sovereign over you or try to be a personality, right? There are people out there, and usually what I discover is most people who are sharing some genuine truth, something that's really useful for you, they're never going to be that popular. Because they care more about being, how do I say this? Useful to you. Share information is actually you're going to benefit. And, there's a certain point when a person, a man or woman, has to say, well, how much of this material stuff is really that important? And how much is it my own sanity is important? There's an awful lot of very wise, very knowledgeable individuals who will never be recognized, will never be on television, and if they ever are be recognized or interviewed, they'll be on small channels on YouTube and other platforms, and certain websites and blogs and all that, and we'll write a book that may once in a while become very popular, but there is a lot of control of the information, right? It's got to make sure that the official narrative is perpetuated before any kind of independent thought. You're always going to find the truth outside the box, right? And it seems like as we go through, if you go look at life, once again, is that tunnel, right? It seems like a lot of the truths that we need to find are on either end of the tunnel and on the sides of the tunnel. Which is interesting when you look at the painting here, where you have the light in the tunnel, right? And there's darkness around it. Or we call the void or the abyss. It's like this area, if you will, if you can conceptualize it, bouncing back here and here, widens the tunnel and brings more truth to your life. If you go to the easy route, what everybody wants to, but at some point you realize how empty that is, and that creates that hole in your heart, right? The center of the universe, your heart. It's not just a physical thing. It really isn't. That's why all the religions talk about it. It's not just a physical thing. It's not just about about pumping your blood and all that, and making sure you have another breath in this little realm. I visualize human beings as like this, and other people like a worm, right? Don't really think of worm. I know it's more like, you could think of many different ways, but just think there's the mind that's between our ears and the heart, right? When you're very worldly or still, connected strongly to the material realm, then it's from your head to your genitals. But the real, when you finally get to that balance, right? This, we say is a heart issue, is when the mind and the heart are in balance. What does that really mean? That's when you are at peace. Right, you're at peace. The stillness with it. You don't feel like you need to prove anything. I mean, I'm doing what I'm doing when I do everything wrong when it comes to the internet. I read stuff. I don't promote my thing. I don't make these catchy intros and endings. I just share my journey. I respect people that do that. I understand why other people do because we're been conditioned that you got to have flashy intro, flashy graphics, and a flashy end. But honestly, the only thing that really matters in the end is what's in between. What are you really giving people as far as useful knowledge? And hopefully, first and foremost, it's yourself. If it's simply just, I'm going to be a talking head, well, then we're going nowhere again. We're just following the cult of personality. I just went on a tangent there, didn't I? I just forgot where I was at. Anyways, filmmakers such we looked at Bruce Joel Rubin's vivid, thought-provoking portrayals of life, death, and unseen energy dimensions. Jacob's Ladder, Ghost, My Life have been seen by over 500 million people. Norm Vincent Peale's uplifting message of positive thinking and its effect upon matter and life has affected us all. Now this is where I got myself in trouble with. I know that, like, and also I know Trump, that's his real mentor, calls himself a Christian, but he doesn't know anything. You can call yourself whatever you want, you know what I mean? It's part of this whole thing. Perception, right? But, yeah, here's the thing. You got to have that balance between positive thinking and realistic thinking. It's the yin and the yang. If it's out of whack, and I see this with New Agers and all that, and there's positive. And so they get to the point they're in total denial of what's going on, like the past 3 years. Look, you can be positive at the same point, point out what's really going on. In fact, that's part about really loving your neighbors as yourself. You're warning your neighbors. You're warning your family. That's what I did. And, I was willing to sacrifice anything. I lost small income and lost my YouTube channel because I knew I was going to be taken down. Thousands of us were taken down on the 6th of January, 2001. It had nothing to do with the election. It had to do that we were warning people about what was going on with the jibby jab and all the other stuff. Right? Eugenics is a real issue that we have to deal with. There are people that are practitioners of extreme darkness. And, you can put your head in the sand all you want and pretend that you're loving others, but that's not love when you deny what's really around you. When you love somebody, you warn about the coming dangers, right? This is stuff that guys like Dyer and what was it? I never say his name. Chopra, whatever it is. And I still don't say it right. Anyways, these guys, they don't care. They're very egotistical. They're very much about themselves, and they could care less really about the people. All they care about is being the center of attention on stage and making sure they sell a ton of books and make a lot of money. And if you learn to say the right words, oh yeah, you can influence people. You can influence straight into a ditch while they're going, it's true, and it's what happened to me. I'm going to tell you. Someday I'll talk to you about it. Be very careful about this stuff. I'm telling you right now, when it comes to New Age stuff and all this positive thinking, be very balanced about it. Don't become foolish with it. And you'll see these things, this stuff like these Wayne Dyer and this Siegel and Deepak and all that. They were like, a lot of people use it for out of material desires, right? And it blinds them. You can see what's happened just in this past 3 years, how people in their denial and their self-absorbedness and their denial was going right in before them and still is happening. It's only going to get worse. This great reset is going to go on and on and on until enough of us wake up and say no. You see, this is part of what is loving your neighbors, is willing to say no and stand up against tyranny, which is real. You can be in total denial all you want. You can think every positive thought in the world, but that's not going to stop the tyranny that's around you and the evil designs around you. In fact, people who practice the darkness take advantage of the fact that you refuse to look at both sides of life. The yin-yang of life. There's darkness and there's light. There's day and there's night. There's good and there's evil. And there's always going to be that way in this creation because that's how it was designed. You can't change what has already been predetermined. What you do change is how you navigate it. How you navigate that tunnel of life that you're living in. Who is it you choose to be in this life and on the other side, right? Do you want to be somebody that's, his whole life was nothing about the materialistic things and shallow, superficial things and things that are popular. Well, you'll have probably a lot of superficial friends, and lots of them, by the way. Then it's telling you the truth. That's all I'm saying. It's everyone's journey, right? I don't want to be part of it. So, anyways, so I don't think much of Norman Vincent Peale. I read his books back in, 16 years ago, and it really things did happen, by the way, and the secret and all that, and applying that in my life, and visualization and the vision boards, and I got the things I wanted. But you see, for many of us, we're not balanced enough and not rightly aligned with life in the light to make the what they say righteous, the correct choices that are beneficial for everyone involved, not just yourself. And so, it certainly did affect my life. And here's another thing they don't tell you about. If you're not rightly aligned with your Creator, doing this stuff will lead you in such a ditch, because everything in life, there's a price to pay. Everything. There's no exception. Nothing. You can be in all denial all you want. But everything that we do, everything that we believe in, everything that we visualize, everything that we conceptualize, there is the yin and the yang. There's a price to pay. It's not all positive. If you had a battery that was just nothing but a positive charge, you wouldn't have a battery, and it wouldn't be worth much. In fact, it'd be pretty damn dangerous, and that's what happens. So think about what I'm saying. Albert Einstein was another character that I truly believe is the fictional character. Move scientific thought and theory beyond Newtonian physics into expansive new realms of curved space-time and energy bridges to other universes. In doing so, he set the, and don't get me wrong about what I'm saying there, I'm saying that he was a useful puppet. Most of his ideas that he was credited for were not really even his ideas. But he was a perfect spokesman, right? If things were going to go bad with their new presentation and new theories of whether it was quantum physics or, the theory of relativity, and et cetera, it's best to have him be the fall guy, right? And if he turns out to be a public hero, then hey, they can ride off his, what they say, coat tails or whatever, and then we gone. He's the character. He's the character, the representation of this new science. We'll just have if things go bad, that's his fault. Things go good, yeah, we'll give him the credit. It won't matter anyways because he's not around. I know it sounds very cynical, but you do have to understand how the world works. The world doesn't work the way you want it to work, as the world works the way it was designed to work. So yes, there's consciousness that does things, but even what I'm hearing with William Buhlman, and I bet you he's leveled out. I'm sure he has over the years. I'm sure he's not such a cheerleader about a lot of this stuff anymore. I'm sure he also enjoys talking about it too, but life goes on. The older you get, you just have to come to terms. This is a dualistic system. Like a battery that has a positive and negative charge. It's demonstrated to you on a daily 24-hour basis. Look at the sun. Look at the moon. Look at your own thoughts. Look at your own energy level. There's certain times when you have high energy, and then there's low energy, right? You quote-unquote need to recharge yourself, right? It's common sense. That's all it is. You just have to be aware of what's going on. David Bohm, another visionary physicist, has originated numerous ideas concerning the conscious created reality and unseen energy substructures. His concepts have influenced modern physics and are a major intellectual step towards the recognition of the multidimensional nature of the universe. His piercing intellect has inspired an entire new generation of physicists to look beyond the particles of matter for the answers to reality. Four excellent writers, Nick Herbert, Michael Talbot, Heinz Pagels, and Fritjof Capra, having influenced the evolution of human consciousness by clearly portraying the connection between new physics, metaphysics, religion, and consciousness. See, that part right there is the religion part is always so dangerous. And as somebody who is a Christian who has studied the Bible more than the average Christian ever has, I can warn you, and also, the history of religion. You have to read the book Babylonian Woe. You have to learn about and study and embrace the fact of how this cyclical cycle of what the oligarchs and the plutocracy use against the average population. It is extremely simple. It's so simple, so diabolical that most people can't accept it or refuse to look at it because we're so trapped in it. And that is the use of religion as a form of mind control. I think it's a mistake not to read a religious text and study them, because once you learn about how they're written, mostly in an allegorical form or format, the audience relevancy, who is it really be directed to, and that there's usually in all, the mystery schools and the influence of them in all religions, and that there's hidden meanings in the text, and you have to study a little bit to start seeing the allegories, the idioms, even the puns. You'll start to see some pretty startling things once you also broaden your horizons about things. Anyways, religion itself is a form of mind control. It is very dangerous. And it doesn't matter, it can be, there's new forms of religion. And people think that, oh no, I don't believe in religion. I'm not a Christian or Muslim or Jew or blah, blah, blah. Foolishly thinking that they're not in any kind of cult. Cult. If you're following to mainstream media, you're in a cult. You're under mind control. If you're following television to tell you how to see, think, and hear. Government is mind control in its own. That's what it means, to govern the mind. Why do they want that to happen? So that things go the way they want it to go, not the way that they want you to want it to go, okay? They don't care what you and I want. What they want is to maintain control. And that's when you hear stuff like there's overpopulation. What they really are saying is coded for there's too many people to control them. And they're worried to get too many, the numbers get out of sync, right? That they're going to lose all total control. When people wake up and say, wait a minute, you're a trillionaire and a billionaire and you're a monarch and you actually believe that you're better than me and that you yourselves are being the one responsible for oppressing me? People are going to wake up at some point. That's what they're afraid of. And so what they do with this Babylonian woe matrix, there's religion, then there's fiat currency, there's banking. Religion and fiat currency. So you're always indebted. You're never going to own a home or price a property. And if you don't like that, it's just the way it is. You'd have to just wake up to the reality. And the Western civilization, the average person, will never own their property. And technically, they'll never own the home. They might buy off the home, pay off the home. The mortgage, which is a death sentence in its own right, when you listen, break that word down. And then, so there's the mortgage, right? Banking, you're always paying off loans. The bank has influence on and once they have this a central banking digital currency. We're going to have totally control of the physical, to a point that it's going to be even. Oh, we're going to see what true warriors, brothers and sisters out there who are true warriors, what that really means. And most of us, we're just going to go right back into the matrix. But anyway, so here's the Babylonian world matrix. There's religion was the mind control. In religion, everyone thinks, and they've done a great job of thinking that you have to go to somewhere on a Sunday or Saturday or Friday to be in religion, right? And you have to pray and do all these rituals and rites. But the fact of the matter is, when you go to your universities and you go to your colleges and you're 5 days a week in your public school system and your job, these are all forms of mind control and religions. They control the mind. In which the new idol for the average, the idol that's been around forever and a day, is a piece of paper, a talisman. So you got religion and you got banking. And once people, every couple generations, people start to see the hypocrisy, the injustice of it all. And so what they need to do is then have wars. And all you have to do is pay attention to history. Now people are to hear all this stuff. This is why, like, now you go back to Dyer and Tupac and all these other, charlatans. So they never tell you that side of this equation. You see, for us to break out of this matrix, we have to face the matrix. We have to face the edge of the tunnel and what's all containing us. What's keeping us from this being wider and broader. Right? So it's religion or mind control, and it comes in many different forms. And they've now, through learning and fragmenting the meaning of what religion is and mind control. So now it's like your religion can be your Republican or Democrat. Your religion, it would call it philosophy now, right? And then there's the banking system that keeps you under wraps, and mortgages and that kind of thing. So you got the financial institution. And when people can have enough of that and they realize they're being screwed, they got to have a war. That's what's going on right now, folks. We're in the next stage of this big WW3, in which it's been going on for over 20 years. Actually, it's been going on for 30 years. And this war is supposed to be a 100-year war. World War I and World War II, WW1 and World War II were actually another 30-year war. They were bookends of a 30-year war. People don't realize that. People think that war is simply guys marching around with guns and tanks and planes. No, war is very complicated. It takes a lot of time to put the pieces in place, right, to make that happen. A lot. None of it's organic. There's never been an organic war in the history of mankind. Not one. Now there have been, now there have been people who have been caught up in it, sucked up in it, following it like sheep that we are. Babylonian woe. It's very. Was it Hamanaki? I can't say it now. Anyways, the point being is that if you look at it, you'll see this has been something that's been mastered through the city-states. They want to bring that back into the more city-state system, in which it'll be total full-spectrum dominance, right? In these smart cities in which you'll never be able to leave and go out, and you, through social credit systems, where you'll be able to have some semblance of things. Here's a few things you can have. Maybe we'll let you have babies. Maybe we'll let you have a better job than everyone else as long as you're a good follower. Read 1984. See, you can't just... Life is dualistic. You can't just you can't just focus on the darkness all day long either. You can't focus all day long on the light. You have to be there and bouncing back and forth. I'm sorry. You can't see clearly without it. You're just painting the illusion. And people will argue all day long, right? And I've seen so many people do this to me. And I'm listening to them like, yeah, I was right where you're at. I'm telling you, you can't look, I know people want to just stay in the focus, positive. I'd rather be there too myself, but it's not going to change a damn thing because you got to understand that we live in a dualistic system. We didn't create this system. We're living in it. They won't ever talk about this stuff. So, anyways, we'll get on with this. Blah 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 blah. So, but this guy now, Robert Monroe is an interesting fellow. This guy I would recommend to look into. He's a modern pioneer, has been instrumental in presenting the subject of out-of-body exploration to millions of people around the world. His books and research, the Monroe Institute, provide ongoing training, information, support, and classes related to expanded awareness and non-physical exploration. Now, he also brings up, and he'll never hear this from a guy like William Buhlman, because he talks about the loosh. And that's something that's very important to look into, the loosh. I bring it up all the time, and I'm going to keep bringing it up. There's a lot of dark sources out there that are sharing it as well. And they want you to completely give up on the Creator and give up, and create this illusion, another illusion, the other side of the spectrum, in which you have absolute sovereignty in everything you do and say and believe in. And I'm sorry, you're just now under another illusion. No, you don't. You didn't create this place. And no, you have very little say on how things are going to be thrown at you. It's your say is how you handle it. And when you realize you can't do it all on your own, that's when God starts to play a role in your life again. And then you go search for God. And then you realize that religion is itself, the man's institutions is not only captured God himself, but you from when you finally realize that it's you plus God, and then there's no pope, priest, guru, master, rabbi between you and them, imam, it doesn't matter. It's just you and God. And once you realize that's what it's all about, then the game is on. Now you're going to understand how things really are. Now you're going to understand things like the world's at enmity with God, because you're going to follow God. To the best of your ability, you're going to be searching for God. You're going to be searching for this Creator, from this, the Lord of all spirits. It talks about in Enoch. Heavenly Father, right? And it's going to feel like he's not paying attention at times, right? But the more and more your heart desires to be back home, you're just going to say, regardless if you're paying attention to me, God, or not, I'm going after you, whether you like it or not. Because I don't want to stay here, and I don't want to be going. I don't want to stay here forever. Nobody does. They might say they do. They might say they don't want to. Listen, when you're in your prime, when you're beautiful and 30-something, and the people, the person around you wants to make love to you every day and all that, and forgive you your farts and your smells and everything else, that's wonderful. But when life gets older, and you get older and you wear down, like everyone will, some sooner than others, based on circumstances, then many are out of your control. So you can't talk this way with New Agers. You can't get honest with them. It's the same token, you can't talk to Christians about the honesty, about all the contradictions that are in our books. And what Jesus really did say. You can't get honest with that. The people they'll hang you for it. And so you start to see how narrow that tunnel is really. And what the darkness really is. And a lot of that is the confusion and manipulation, control of this world and of others. And that straight and narrow path, that tunnel that you're looking at, that Jacob's ladder. That straight and narrow, and people say, oh, don't go in the tunnel, go in the tunnel. Well, the light is symbolic for what? It's getting back to God. And whatever that is. Well, I like to rant, and I just pretty wasted some time. I think I'll stop there. We'll stop there because that's Robert Monroe, and we'll talk more about him. Robert Monroe and the loosh. Loosh, what is the loosh? The loosh is what the spirit realm and the astral plane and all the evil spirits and these ones that are pretending to be your not your ascended masters, but your spiritual guides and all that, and they're just trick you to come back here over and over again. This reincarnation that even the New Testament and the Old Testament, they do have subtle hints about it. People say, "Oh no, it has nothing to do with it." But I'm telling you, I'll give you an example of an allegorical and a subtle hint of reincarnation in the New Testament that people will argue all day about. But listen, Jesus makes it very clear to his disciples about John the Baptist, and he says that John the Baptist was Elijah, right? Elias. He says, and you can accept this. This is a hard teaching to accept, but Elias came back from the dead in a new body, in a new form to do a certain mission for God. Reincarnation. It gets even more bizarre when you start saying, hey, listen, hopefully I have this. I'm hoping that I have this guy, Paul, fantastically interesting fellow to me. I want to know him more better. He's called the Orb Whisperer. I'm going to talk about his interactions with the orbs in the spirit realm. And what are these entities and what does it mean to him? And how does he interact with it? And how does he film it and all that kind of stuff? Because he films these things actively moving. He can actually, he demonstrates that he can get them to move. With his way of summoning them. You know, what does this all mean? What is the implication in his life? What does it mean? Now here's another very not so subtle. Well, it's hidden in plain sight in the Bible. We talk about in Jesus and the Magi's. They had nothing to do with the Jewish faith. But think about what it's saying. If they came from the east, the Magi's came and followed what? A star that led them directly to supposedly where baby Jesus was born, right? Where, the physical meat suit, the avatar, was born. The servant of Heavenly Father, right? Now think about what I'm saying here. We know, if we base our understanding of the celestial bodies, the stars and the galaxies and the suns and blah blah blah, which I'll say them right. Anyways, they'll give you these. There's this thing called lying through statistics, which is a real thing. It's not making it up. In fact, the guy who conning you the most, this guy named Bill Gates, he put it right there in 2019, the stack of books right in the middle, and he showed these are the books that he recommended to read, and right in the middle was lying through statistics. And what happened? The past 3 years. It's very easy through number magic to manipulate the mind. Because we project on that. We say it's real. It's not real. It's only, it's only, say, for instance, you have a dozen eggs. And it says, a dozen eggs for now, it's like in California, it's like $10 or $8-9, whatever it is. It's ridiculous. Like $1 an egg, right? Just total. This is the reason they're doing this is because this is all part of the Babylonian Wall. And with the banking system, what they do, they're able to increase inflation and cost of things and items and all that. It's all artificial. It's all man-made, and none of it's organic. I can tell you, none of it ever will be. It's lying through statistics. We look at the numbers of things and people and with the jibby-jab and all that. Lying through statistics. He was telling you what it was up to. They got to do this. They got to hide things in plain sight. That's why you have to be able to look in the darkness. Now, Wayne Dyers of the world are going to tell you not to listen to me. And I'm telling you, please listen to me, but find out for yourself I'm telling you the truth. Look. Your light means nothing if it's not pointed into the darkness. It's just, it's like this. You know what? The world, okay, you live in the city, the suburbs and all that, right? And you have this light pollution, and most people are lucky, all they can see the brightest of stars or planets. Yet, when you go somewhere at Southwest, go Death Valley or Utah or New Mexico and some places where there's no light pollution, and you see nothing but a blanket of light and stars. You see, It's worthless if you keep shining your light in the light. It just gets flooded in the light. The whole point of the light is just take that, shine it into the darkness, see clearly what's around you so that you can navigate. It's really common sense, but you can't say this, and I'll have to write a book about it. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to write a book. But in order to be someone to even listen to what I'm saying, which is just pure common sense, right? Something that your grandparents told you about, probably, or it would have told you about, if you had any relationship with them, which is another part of this. Why you need to understand 1984 and Brave New World. This is another good book to read. This is not, you have to see both sides of it, so you can see clearly what's going on. I just lost all train of thought. Oh yeah, back to Lush. So Lush is that all these spirits, these entities, right? They feed off our emotions, our energy, our passions. Then the purest form of Lush is love. And it's a form of it's like food. You know, we in the physical realm, we eat food and get energy, and there's taste buds, and we feel, and digestion, and pooping and all the crap, right? But in the spiritual realm, they still feed off our emotions. It's a form of energy. If everything is energy, then energy needs energy. If that makes sense, you can't always. Different sources of energy are always going to be competing and feeding off each other. It never lives in a vacuum. So they feed off us. This is the Lush. And this is what and this is why a lot of them want us to come back and reincarnate over and over and over again. I think, from my perspective, you know, when you look at Jesus and his teachings, there were multiple facets. Most of it had to pertain with the first century. It had nothing to do with us. But there are many things in there, that simple truths that could apply to us all. And it really does come down to loving God with your heart, mind, and strength is not religion. You got to figure it out for yourself, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And I think it's multiple lifetimes to figure out what it means to love your heart, God with all your heart, mind, and strength. And then the second thing is love your neighbor yourself. Do unto others as you like done unto you, the golden rule. When you get to that point where you don't love the things of this world, and you'd rather, you know, yourself die, and instead of having to exploit and take advantage of people so that you can be a king of the hill and be, you know, have this false sense of praise and importance. You'd rather not have any of the things of this world. You'd rather just have your peace, your sanity, and your full essence, and get back home, right? The light. How do you navigate through the darkness with that? If you don't shine that light into the darkness, you can't. Anyways, Lush. Robert Monroe, very important concept to learn about. At the end of the day, it's the concept, not the word, that matters. So it could be, you know, these dark archons or spirits, right? We call them the evil ones, right? You know, because there's good spirits and bad spirits. And it's not. And I've learned, this is my journey. You can't judge everyone by as they will say, it goes a book by its covers. There's some that look pretty dark and evil or strange looking, and you have no idea that they're actually your companion, your best friend. So, and what's best for you. And others, they'll look like angels of light, and they'd be the most beautiful things in the world. And you're like, there's no way in heck they would ever want to take advantage of me. That's why they talk about $1 million smile. I mean, the older you get and the wiser you get, you look at that and you say, that smile doesn't mean anything. What's coming out of that man's mouth, or girl, or a lady's mouth, and what are the intentions? And at the end of the day, if they're just there to exploit me and take advantage of me, then I have a choice to still listen to them or move away. And let them call me names. That's what they usually do. When you are out wrong or you are at fault, you know what happens, and we'll all do it. We throw ad hominem attacks at that other person, right? When we don't have enough information, we can't back up what we're saying. We start throwing ad hominem attacks. In other words, start calling each other names and get mad at each other. It's worthless to do it. You only find out it's really worthless to be angry at your enemy. You're like, it doesn't, that doesn't mean you have to accept the abuse. It doesn't mean you have to belong to this abusive relationship. No. But you learn to do what it really means to love your enemy. And many times the best thing you do for loving your enemy is avoiding that person. Does that make sense? Because, it's like they go, well, what's the problem? Why are everyone avoiding me? Maybe I need to look inwardly and deal with my problems, right? But how do you go about that? Avoidance is not to lie to people. It is one of the things over and over again in our culture. When people will make a promise and they'll hear what you have to say, or they don't like you, or they don't like what we say, you know what they'll do? Their way of saying no is just not return the phone call, or not to return the message. Which all you have to do is say no or yes. And if somebody asks you why, then you just a clear and concise message of why. And by the way, you might be wrong, which many times I've discovered for myself and others. When we project onto others, many times we're wrong. It's really we're talking about ourselves. So when I'm doing this stuff, doing these recordings, I'm not preaching to you. I'm preaching to me. I'm not teaching you, I'm teaching me. I'm just sharing my journey with you, and you do with what you want. And if nobody listens to it, or if 1 million people listen to it, it's not going to make a difference. I'm still going to do this because, regardless if I have... In the end of the day, if this is all just an imaginary audience, right? Physically. Or maybe there's only going to be 6 people in the whole world, individuals in their meat suits. There's an infinite number of entities all around me in the spirit realm and multidimensional realm. So there's no such thing as being alone. This is why, like reading the Bible and all these holy texts, people don't read these things properly. You're supposed to read them out loud. You're supposed to speak them out loud. Read them out loud. That's where the power is at. And as when you research it, you see it, and you'll go, oh my gosh, I see this contradiction. It goes, this cannot be true. And then you have to go deeper and say, well, what is the point in this book? Is it simply just to waste all my time and energy chasing after to prove that the book is true? Or is there certain messages and there's certain stories in there that are hidden in plain sight that I'm supposed to be focusing on? You see, it's maturation of understanding what these texts are. Why they're the way they are. And you soon realize that it has nothing to do with being a Christian or belonging to a group. It's about certain things to help you navigate in this life and get back on track and get back to God. That's all it's about. But we love to, and here's the funny thing too, when you read the scriptures, because it was never meant to be for us, right? It could be the Bible, and it could be many other ones. It was never meant to be for the laity, or the average person. It was only meant for the priestcraft. But because of modern technology, we're able to do that. I mean, we've got to remember that it was never meant to be us. So there are going to be things that are clearly contradictory, that would only be beneficial for a certain group of people. On the same token, it flat out exposes those people too, so they themselves... It's brilliant how it's written. If you read this for what's proper, you're going to look at those Aaronic priests and Moses and everyone else, and you're going to be going, man, this book is condemning you guys. These books don't even have much to do about me. They're becoming a certain class of people who think that they have a right to rule over you and I and be middlemen between us and God. Anyway, we're going to read more about this, and you're going to see this clearly in many different other texts from the roles of shamans from 20,000 years ago until now, priests and people who put themselves in higher positions. Sometimes we elect them ourselves. The multifaceted journey of how when it becomes the true spiral. The true spiral is you're going down that tunnel as you get narrow until you realize the focus of what it's always been about in the first place. And you're going, I don't want anything to do with your politics. I don't want anything to do with your religion. I don't want anything to do with your rituals. I don't want to follow you. I want to follow God. Whatever the price is, because the pearl of great price is that. What is the pearl of great price? Our Creator. Anyways, and people hear that and they think it's religion, and it has nothing to do with us. It's our reality. I have no need for organized religion. None. None. Well, I hope you guys have a great time, and I'll be reading again, and probably within 10 hours. Again, I'm going to get through this book. I enjoy this book. This book is very thought-provoking to me. It's very simple, and a guy like me who mumbles and stumbles and has dyslexia, it's great. There's not too many big words for me, but there's some big concepts in it. Really big concepts. The first step is setting yourself free is stop belonging to any of the groups. Break free from groupthink. Okay? Address it from the side angles.
You're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind.